It's wrapped around. Perfect.
Morning. Welcome to this Unitarian Church, which serves our church here in Birmingham and our church in Tuscaloosa and all of our folks online. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are today and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. To all who are here this morning, welcome home. The prelude prepares us for worship.
We light this chalice for the courage to face the ghosts that visit us, the ghost of what has been with its truth, the ghost of what is with its challenge, and the ghost of what may yet be, holding out the possibility of change. May this flame remind us, as it reminded old Scrooge, that compassion can thaw even the coldest winter, and that it is never too late to choose generosity, to choose connection, to choose joy. In the spirit of inclusivity and welcome, please take a few moments to greet those around you, especially those you may not recognize. Folks online, please greet each other in the chat.
That's what she was telling me. I was like, oh, you are Sharon with Sharon's friend.
Yeah.
I love Sharon.
And then our oldest daughter got to be a teenager. We won't say you.
No, I know.
All right, I'm not in your contacts.
I left my paper.
And Sage ran out to
You're lighting the
lobby.
two?
Yes.
Hey, good morning. You say hi to Betsy? Did you give Arya a hug or a high five or something?
And it's just like most of them raffle and road song and like it's just like
Wait, half a second.
Now,
Well, Sage is.
we don't know where Sage is. Hang on.
I'll wait.
No. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Are you reading or not?
You read?
All of it? Sage is going to read that part.
Okay.
But I can read it all.
I'll read part.
They are lighting.
Yes. Light two.
Those two in the front, those two up. You light that candle on that, and then you light the front too. And it's at the very end of everything is when you do it, okay? Can you come up to this?
Perfect. Yeah, just talk upwards.
There we go. Okay. So you're gonna read the middle part. I'm gonna read the first part, you're gonna read the middle part, and I'm gonna read the last part.
I'll read the last part.
Okay. Second one.
Please be seated for the Advent wreath lighting. Morning.
Say it again. Good morning, we're the Tatums. Papa, you say.
Good morning.
Twice, Mike.
We're the Tatums, if you don't know us.
Excuse me. The placing of candles upon a circle of evergreens is an age-old tradition. Lighting additional candles each day or week as the light wanes has been part of human rituals for centuries upon centuries. We are warmed by the glow. We are reminded that the wheel of the season will turn and brilliant lengthening days will return. The original Advent wreath in the Christian tradition dates back to the 16th century and includes a candle for each of the 24 days leading up to Christmas.
For us here in this time, the circle of evergreens reminds us that love that life and love will never end. We light candles each week with anticipation as we know a new season will soon be here. Days will become longer, and we know the warmth of the candles will soon be replaced by the warmth of the sun.
The second candle of the Advent wreath represents peace. In this time of expectancy and celebration, let us hold on to the ideal of peace. Even though wars rage around the world and sometimes in our hearts, we recognize that peace arrives gently and to an open heart. We light the candle of peace to remind us that it is with the softness of a dove's wing that peace descends upon us. We light the candle of peace.
In honor of Hanukkah this week, please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 226. Oh, no, 226? Yes, as found in the hardcover hymnal. We changed the song this morning, so 226.
The season is full of surprises, and one of them is that Hanukkah doesn't actually begin today. So, actually, that probably doesn't surprise anybody. 226 is our new hymn. Please stand as you're able. People look east, the time is near, of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able, trim the hearth and set the table. People look east and sing today, love the guest is on the way. Furrows be glad, the earth is near, what the seed is planted there. Give up your strength, the seed to nourish, and cause the flower may flourish. People look east and sing today, love the rose is on the way. Stars keep the watch when night is near, on the light the bowl shall brim, shining beyond the frosty weather, bright as sun and moon together. People look east and sing today, love the star is on the way.
Good morning. I'm Helen Rivas from the Justice Committee. No justice, no peace. I mean, this time of year, peace is a word we hear a lot, but justice is something that is not always happening. This coming December 10th is the 77th anniversary of the Declaration of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations General Assembly. And you may remember Eleanor Roosevelt headed that committee. And the U.S. government, I believe, does subscribe to that. There are some other things that they do not subscribe to that they should. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights covers food, housing, education, work for all people, while the Constitution of the United States is about civil rights. This morning, you may have heard on NPR the Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief, Tom Fletcher, on NPR, who was talking about Darfur and the horrors of Sudan. I'd just like to remind you that we can forget about places like Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, the Rohingya, and things happening here. And there are plenty of, I don't think I even need to give you links. Most of you are aware of all that is going on. And in 2020, the State Department formed a commission to form a declaration of unalienable rights. However, the United Nations Association of the United States produced a sign-on letter and was joined by over 100 organizations that noted that this thing was very flawed. It prioritized property rights and certain religious issues over everything else. We haven't heard much about it, thank you, but the attitudes reflected in that document are being made manifest daily as we see the cruel and unconstitutional actions against immigrants, statements denigrating certain marginalized groups and political opponents. And we also saw this attitude thinking locally in Hoover this past week, where the zoning commission, I believe, denied a request by the Islamic Center to move their school from Homewood to Meadowbrook area. And what was very depressing about that was to hear all the statements about how the people have spoken and democracy has won, but forgetting about the Constitution. So please speak up when these things happen, and let's try to educate the folks that are maybe speaking from not knowing what the real deal is. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Julie Nicholson Morgan, president of the board. Please read the bottom of your connection card before you turn it in. We have lots of volunteer opportunities this week. Our church is supported by those who call our church home and by those who support the efforts of our church to change our world for the better. If this is your first time with us, please just pass the plate. We're glad that you're here. We share our cash plate every Sunday with organizations whose work reflects UU values to care for marginalized persons, advocate for real and systemic change, defend our environment, and promote justice and equity for all. Today we are sharing our plate with Community on the Rise, an advocacy and empowerment organization for houseless folks in Birmingham. Together they are the only place which recycles number 5 plastics in Birmingham and turns them into useful objects and art. You can donate clean number 5 plastics in our narthex anytime during the year, and this month we share our cash plate with these organizations to help with other expenses. And while I'm up here, see the box here, I also want to let everyone know we are also collecting donations for staff gifts this Sunday and next Sunday. As you know, we have a truly amazing staff. You can see everyone's beautiful faces in the insert this week. We could not function without them. So please show your love and appreciation by being as generous as you can when I pass this box around. And when using our online payments, please mark staff gifts. We appreciate your donations either by placing them in the plate, by mailing your donation to the church, or by using PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. More information is found in the order of service in the lower right corner. And as a reminder, to include in the memo whether the donation is for the church, for the Share the Plate recipient, or for staff gifts. Thank you for your generous support of our church and our Share the Plate recipient and our staff. May we give in love and in hope.
Snowing on the street.
Sherry, for picking such a pertinent piece to our Sunday. Now is that time in our service when we celebrate our joys and hold one another's sorrows in community. For those of you online, please share yours in the chat. For those of you in person, please come forward and drop a stone in honor or in memory of what is on your heart today. Please come forward. Celebrate Dick and Mary Segretto's 40th wedding anniversary. Today we also lift up Gary Nichols, who has broken a bone and is in a rehab facility. We lift up Andy Duxbury's dad, who is in the hospital, and we lift up Trevor Staub. May we keep one another in our hearts and minds in the spirit of community and love. Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation, followed by a moment of silence. In this quiet, imagine the dim, wintry streets of Dickens's London. Not the London of geography, but the London of the heart, that inner place where shadows and light coexist. In that place, the ghost of the past comes first. It carries memories we didn't choose, moments of wonder, moments of regret, chapters we revisit in the dark of night. Let us welcome these memories without judgment. Let us say to them, you are part of my story. I see you. I honor you. Let us breathe with them and gently release the grip they sometimes hold. And now comes the ghost of the present, arms outstretched, showing us our very own lives just as they are, the people who love us, the struggles they carry, the needs we sometimes overlook. May we look upon this present moment with compassion instead of criticism, with curiosity instead of fear. May we find gratitude for the imperfect blessings of today. And then, softly, the ghost of the yet-to-be enters. It does not speak. It simply points forward toward choices not yet made, toward courage not yet claimed, toward the transformation still possible within us. Let us listen to that silent invitation. Let us feel the pull of our better selves, beckoning toward kindness, toward justice, toward love. In this stillness, may we remember, we are never finished. No life is too hardened to soften, no heart too cold to warm, no story too fixed to be rewritten. Take one more deep breath. Feel the warmth rising within you, the warmth of compassion, the warmth of awakening, the warmth of possibility. Let us take a moment of silence together. Amen, and blessed be. Will the children please come forward?
Good morning, friends. Good morning, grown-up friends. You're going to draw pictures. Will you show me them later? Oh, fantastic. I love that idea, Aria. Fantastic. Well, this morning, I want to tell you a story about the power each of us carries, a power to learn, a power to choose again, and a power to build something better. It's a story about hope and redemption and all sorts of good things. There once was a person named Avery. Avery was kind sometimes, and grumpy sometimes, and imperfect most of the time. Kind of like all of us, right? But lately, Avery felt stuck. They felt heavy, and things they had wished they had done before differently. They held them still. They felt unsure about what kind of person they were becoming in the world. One night, Avery whispered into the darkness, I wish I knew how to feel hopeful again. Have you ever felt like that? Or you're just kind of bummed all the time? Yeah. Well, that night, 3 visitors came to visit Avery. The first visitor was golden, like old memories. I'm here to help you remember, they said, and they showed Avery scenes from long ago, times where Avery had made some mistakes. And yes, but also times when Avery had been really brave. And Avery had been compassionate and had tried after falling down. They said, you are more than your worst moments. I am here to help. You are stitched together from every moment you have tried to love, to learn, and to grow. And Avery's heart felt a little bit lighter. The second visitor arrived with a whoosh of warmth, like a crackling fire. I'm here to help you wake up, they said, and they showed Avery everything that was happening right now. People caring for one another, children learning, communities working for justice. They showed Avery every moment holds a choice, even small ones. Things like a smile, a promise that you keep, a chance to say, I'm sorry, or let's begin again. Avery took a deep breath and felt a spark of hope. Then a third visitor arrived that was shimmering and sparkling with possibility. I'm here to help you imagine, they said. They didn't show a single fixed future, though. Instead, they showed many different paths. Some were bright, some were challenging, but all of them were changeable. The visitor said, the future is not set. It grows from the seeds that you plant today in your heart, in your choices, and in your community. And then Avery realized hope is not pretending that everything is just going to be easy, right? Hope is choosing to build a future even when it feels hard. And the next morning, Avery woke up and the visitors had gone, but the lessons remained. From the past, we can learn and begin again. From the present, we can choose how we live right now. And from the future, we can help what's going to shape what comes next. And Avery thought to themselves, I'm not stuck. I can grow. I can help create the light. And Avery stepped into a new day feeling hopeful, imperfect, and ready. I made you all a little something to take with you today to help you remember about Avery's visitors. Miss Amethyst has them. You'll get them in a moment. So there's 3 ribbons, and this gold ribbon here, there's kind of a goldish colored ribbon, that represents the first visitor who told us that we are worth more than our worst moments. And then the red ribbon represents the second visitor who showed us that every moment holds a choice, even right now. And then this last ribbon, the silvery, shiny, sparkly ribbon, represents the third visitor who told us that the future is not set. So take these with you and remember that as Unitarian Universalists, we believe that every person has worth, even when they make mistakes. Oh, good. Every moment invites us to choose compassion, and that every future is shaped by love and justice. The end. Thank you. Grown-ups, could you sing us downstairs for some community time?
What a great reminder of the past, present, and future by Courtney. And I hope you all are getting the vibe about what today is all about. I also want to say a thank you to the worship associate this morning, Misty, for my beautiful new Advent stole so that I can match the colors of the season. So, it's amazing. But as we think about this time leading up to Christmas, this Advent season, I want you to start off this morning by thinking about what Christmas tradition are you most looking forward to this season? It's highly likely that whatever you thought of in your mind of your American Christmas tradition was commingled into our culture by our Unitarian ancestors. Now, many of you know how my children wait expectantly on Christmas Eve for the Grinch to come to destroy our home, to steal our presents, and to give me a huge mess to clean up on one of my busiest work days of the year. I did not think that through strategically. But on Christmas Eve, the Grinch magically restores the house, all the presents, in time for their delighted eyes on Christmas morning. But the more I learn about the Unitarian influences of Christmas, the more my heart grows. Since both the Grinch and the 19th century Unitarians shared the same concerns. When we examine the development of American Christmas tradition, our modern day celebration is a relatively new construct brought together by those Unitarians of the 1800s. For the most part, Unitarians didn't invent most of these traditions, but they did adapt and shape them into what became the American Christmas traditions we have today. But we need to rewind the clock first, all the way back to ancient Rome. Now, in ancient Rome, the Romans celebrated Saturnalia. From December 17th through the 23rd, it grew over time. And it was a feast celebrating the god of agriculture, complete with gift exchanges, hung greenery, continual partying. And during the celebration, the enslaved ate at the same table as their enslavers and were treated as equals for the entirety of that festival, which puts a whole new perspective on the idea of post-party blues. I can just imagine how that was in that awful scenario. Now, after Emperor Constantine's conversion to Christianity, he set the date of Jesus' birth as December 25th, wove in those Saturnalia traditions into the celebration of Christmas as an attempt to convert the Romans. And over time, Saturnalia was replaced entirely. As Christianity spread north into Europe, it discovered the ancient tradition of Yule and claimed many of its traditions of Christmas as well, in an attempt to convert those people. You see where I'm going? By the 1600s, Christmas was widely celebrated in the Christian parts of the world. And here in America, in the 1600s, our Puritan ancestors hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. And we know why they hated it, because they told us about it. They hated it so much, they ensured that Christmas became illegal. From Massachusetts law, in 1659, the Massachusetts Bay Colony enacted a law called Penalty for Keeping Christmas. The notion was such that festivals, as were superstitiously kept in other countries, were a great dishonor to God and offense of others. Anyone found celebrating Christmas by failing to work, feasting, or any other way shall pay for every such offense 5 shillings. That would be about $48 today. So you can start racking up your tab of how much you've already been celebrating. But the Puritans weren't objecting to Christmas carols and holiday meals or even presents, although I firmly believe they would have hated those things too. The Puritans were upset because Christmas in the 1600s was still the byproduct of Saturnalia meeting Yule, much more akin to the celebration of Mardi Gras today. Imagine Christmas Day with drunken revelry, fireworks, and guns shooting off in the air, and then think of our dear little Puritans clutching their pearls. And in puritanical fashion, they also pointed out that the Bible does not command celebrating Jesus' birthday, nor does it give us a date on which to do so. So for 150 years, the Puritans kept Christmas illegal. And for those 150 years, everyone else wanted any excuse to take a day off work and be jolly. The Puritans realized their tactic wasn't working. And the liberal Puritans, of which those are our ancestors who became Unitarian, they saw the Christmas season as an opportunity to transform the cultural landscape around Christmas into something more reflective of our Unitarian values. As Reverend Tracy Springberry writes, Unitarians at that time were obsessed with how to raise generous children with good characters. Christmas, they believed, could be a holiday to promote their values of generosity and charity and social good, and would be a wonderful way to build those values, particularly in children. Tradition said that the evil must be beaten from a child, but the Unitarians did not believe that. Still, how do you raise a child who is kind and generous and good? This brand new ground, and Unitarian parents were understandably a little anxious about it. Celebrating Christmas, many felt, had the potential to help this societal ill. And so while some of the traditions come from ancient Rome or the Yule tradition, it was the Unitarians who refocused the Christmas holiday on children, inspiring the magic of the season. Since Unitarians in the 1800s were traditionally solidly very middle class, highly educated, influencing the media, a collective effort built up over time to change the Christmas tradition. Clement Moore, a Unitarian and the son of a Unitarian minister, wrote a poem called A Visit from St. Nicholas, inventing the character of Santa Claus as is celebrated today. If you're not familiar with the title or the author, let me just read the opening line. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. It was another Unitarian, Thomas Nast, who placed Santa Claus on the North Pole as a message that he existed for all the children of the world. And why the North Pole and not the South, you ask? Well, Nast drew his cartoon in the midst of the Civil War. And as President Abraham Lincoln described, Thomas Nast has been our best recruiting sergeant. His emblematic cartoons have never failed to arouse enthusiasm and patriotism, and have always seemed to come just when those articles are getting scarce. Unitarians also brought us the Christmas tree, which I talked about for length last year. Harvard professor and German immigrant Charles Fohlen invited his colleagues over for a Christmas celebration, bringing his tradition in Germany of a tree lit with candles into the American tradition. And the only loss of the actually lit candles with a fir tree was apparently a doll's dress set on fire. Unitarians also expanded the idea of gift giving to where children gave gifts to parents. Unitarian Samuel Taylor Coleridge, author of The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, traveled to Germany and witnessed how in the German tradition, parents gave to children, but unlike anywhere else, children also gave to parents. He describes it this way after watching a family's gift exchange. There were 8 or 9 children, and the eldest daughter and the mother wept aloud for joy and tenderness, and tears ran down the face of the father, and he clasped his children so tight to his breast, it seemed as if he did it to stifle the sob that was rising within him. I was very much affected. Remember a few minutes ago when I described how American Unitarians wanted their children to be kind and generous? This German tradition of this weeping family embracing one another was exactly what the American Unitarians wanted. And it was the Englishman, Unitarian Charles Dickens, who solidified charity for others into our American tradition, and who this year I am really holding a torch for this holiday season, as you will see on Christmas Eve. Written shortly after Dickens joined a Unitarian church, A Christmas Carol became his most famous novel and represented his Unitarian beliefs, as Reverend Michael Timko puts it, the belief that Jesus was a human being who exemplified a truly religious life, the rejection of materialism and the doctrine of necessity, the rejection of a God of stern judgment, a disdain of theological controversy, the rejection of dogma, an inclusive rather than an exclusive religion, and an emphasis on doing good works. Now, I could sit here and summarize A Christmas Carol for you, and I could talk about Charles Dickens, but I think we're kind of all on the same page that we've had some experience of this story, right? You don't need that. Great, I'm going right into analysis then. So for me, A Christmas Carol has been deeply misunderstood by our society in a way, especially when we define that story as only caring about the poor, when it is so much more than that, but it is also that. I was upset over Scrooge's hoarding of wealth, which, as Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad and so many others have taught us, makes spiritual awakening nearly impossible. But it is so much more than that, too. As author Jason K. Pargan summarized so brilliantly on TikTok this past week, and I have summarized it to condense it a bit, but I encourage you to watch the actual video. He says this: I feel like people get this wrong in all the adaptations of A Christmas Carol. People tend to interpret this story in a way that lets themselves off the hook. The sin that Ebenezer Scrooge commits is bigger than greed. Because if you make the story just about financial greed, we don't see ourselves as Scrooge, we see ourselves as Cratchit. But it's really all about the coal, where Ebenezer Scrooge refuses to let Cratchit add more coal to the fireplace. Scrooge is in the same cold office as his employee. Scrooge isn't spending his money on yachts and Lamborghinis. He's not a criminal or a liar or a thief. He counts every penny. He hates Christmas because it makes people spend money they don't have, which is something that he doesn't do. He believes in his heart that all of the impoverished people he passes on the street would not be poor if they were as meticulous about their finances as he is. In other words, their poverty is their own fault. Now, in Scrooge's mind, his moral code is perfectly logical. He is not asking the poor to do anything other than what he does himself. He denies himself all pleasures, even heat in the winter. He lives in squalor. And when Cratchit says, I want to have off on Christmas Day, Scrooge would also be working on Christmas Day. He's not asking Bob to do something different than himself. The way that Scrooge spreads misery is by ruthlessly demanding that everyone else live according to his strict moral code. What makes this story timeless is the lesson that there are people who do evil by breaking society's rules. But there are others who are evil because of how ruthlessly they adhere to those rules. Saturday, in the middle of finishing this sermon, I drove to Vestavia to pick up my child from a school event. And at an intersection, a truck backed into my beautiful car. And y'all know I love my car. It's pretty awesome. But the moment this man exited his car, I could tell we would not be engaging in the typical rules that one encounters in a fender bender. Because the man and the two gentlemen that later came out of his car were Latino and did not speak any English. Multiple people asked me to call the police to resolve the issue. That's what you do when you get into a wreck. That's how you ensure the insurance companies are going to pay you. But I knew that calling the police would rid multiple families of their loved ones this season. And I just couldn't do it. Even if that meant it would affect my finances or my ability to get my car fixed. Sometimes we have to move past our notions of how things should be, what rules should be followed to live out our values in the world. And that's what A Christmas Carol is calling us all to consider. Whether the rules that we impose upon others are fair to impose, whether hardship is the fault of those who are suffering, and ultimately whether a person's life story or situation changes how or why we offer charity to them. This year, we have watched this play out on a national stage, the cold logic of Scrooge on display for all of us to watch. Why do poor children and SNAP recipients need birthday cakes, sodas, candy, and chips anyway? Why couldn't parents who brought their children to this country just get the paperwork together? Why do people have to protest and make such a fuss? If folks just didn't do drugs, they wouldn't be addicted. And certainly Big Pharma has nothing to do with that. And lately, this past week, babies don't need vaccines unless they're having sex and doing drugs. And the Scrooge mentality played out locally too, as Helen lifted up earlier. Why does the Muslim school need to move into Hoover when they have a perfectly good but way too small school in Homewood? They should just suffer and deal with what they have. Be watchful for Scrooge's cold logic seeping into our hearts and our society, because it is everywhere. That is why this story is timeless. Dickens teaches us how our reasons for others' misfortune are irrelevant. Whether through poor budgeting or social ills or addiction or systemic poverty and racism, Cratchit and his family still deserve to celebrate Christmas. with food and presents on a holiday from work. We can easily fall into Scrooge's patterns ourselves, wondering why the families we support through Greater Birmingham Ministries can't afford presents themselves. Or even worse, believing that children whose houses we have never visited have too many presents and don't need any more. We can wonder why, or we can recognize that the transformation in A Christmas Carol is not one that lifts the Cratchit family out of poverty. They are still in poverty at the end of the story, but it is instead about the transformation of Scrooge, who recognizes that charity matters in large and small ways, both for the people helped and the people helping. Scrooge recognizes at the end that the reasons don't really matter when love is at the center, and the reasons that we place, the rules that we place on our own lives need not govern the lives of others. It is that transformation of accepting others as they are, where they are, that allows the spirit of Christmas to flourish. Scrooge's nephew in A Christmas Carol describes it this way: I have always thought of Christmas time, when it has come around, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year when people seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people below them as if they were really fellow passengers to the grave and not another race of creatures bound on other journeys. And therefore, Uncle Scrooge, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good and will do me good. And I say, God bless it. Reverend Bruce C. Taylor says it this way: without saying much about religion, A Christmas Carol presents deeply religious values. It paints a picture of Christmas which is much more of a holiday. It's a way of being. For a few days at least, people are encouraged to treat one another the way God would intend for them to be treated all the time. This Christmas provides the occasion for acts of kindness and gestures of goodwill, not just the people we know, not just to the people like us, but to everyone. For Dickens, the message of Christmas is this: it is our destiny to be kind to one another. As we prepare for Christmas, as we bake and shop and give charity, cook, wrap, travel, rest, celebrate, let us remember the reason for the season. Our Unitarian ancestors assembled these traditions for us meticulously and intentionally. And what is most important is how we cultivate magic for others, especially the children. And while we teach, model, and encourage for our children and the children near us the spirit of generosity. Amen.
Our closing hymn is on an insert in your order of worship. So if you would find that, Awake Our Hearts, Good Friends. As we sing our closing hymn, if you want to join our congregation, Reverend Julie would be so glad to welcome you so you can come up during the singing of the closing hymn. As you are able, I invite you to stand.
which once learned that love can warm, fear we hold inside, may past and present gently lead to futures opened wide. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. The spirits call us, everyone, to live with open eyes, to ease another's loneliness, to help our hope arise. For when we act with generous hearts, a better world's a prize. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
I am delighted to welcome to our membership this morning someone you already know, but I'm going to let him introduce himself and decide and let us know why he is joining this morning.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ken Zabaski. I have been coming since May, and I have joined in many ways. I'm a member of the men's group. I sang in the choir. I've joined Music Shares. I've joined the Christian community. I'm now learning about Unitarian from Courtney through 6 months of what is this all about kind of thing. So I'm thrilled to be here. I feel so very welcomed. The reason I joined is at the end of last year, I had 2 major life-changing events coming straight at me. My wife had left me, and we were starting the divorce process. She had picked up and moved unexpectedly to Portland, Oregon. And I had my retirement around the corner. I knew it was happening. And I don't know if I'm unique or not, but my life had revolved around my wife and my work. And so my relationships, my communities were all about work or her friends and her things. And there was going to be a huge vacuum there. And I decided I needed to find a community, one that I could be a part of. I also selfishly decided that I wanted to sing in a choir. And so I started investigating churches and choirs. I grew up Lutheran. I married a Catholic and raised my children Catholic. So I started there, and I didn't like that. I had a friend whose wife was a choir director at the Episcopal Church, and I didn't like didn't want to dress like Reverend Julie to sing in the choir. I guess is what it boils down to. And then my stepdaughter, who is very close to me, I mean, I met my stepdaughter when she was 5 years old, and she's now about to be 25, so we've been together for a long time. She said, well, what about that church up on a hill in the woods? I said, what are you talking about? She said, remember we went there a few times, when I was in roller derby? And I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember that. And I says, well, what about there? And so I went online, and I watched a couple services online. I heard the choir sing. And I thought, oh, good, we don't have to sing the liturgy. We don't have to, sing, church songs. We can just sing good songs. And so I decided I would try it. And so in May, I started coming here, and I'm glad I did. And I feel so very welcome. And I thank you all for that. And I'm so glad to be a part of this church.
Ken, it's a joy to have you here. Will you continue to support the church in all the ways you have already been doing and going forward? And church, will you help me to welcome Ken as officially a member of our community after the service?
Okay, we have quite a few announcements. We're busy this month. So please check out your order of service and your connection card for upcoming events. Today, after church, is our first Sunday free book table. Please take what you wish, and remember you can drop off books to give away. Next week is our children's holiday pageant. The one and only rehearsal is this Saturday at 10 a.m. We'd love for all of our children and youth to participate. Please check out our holiday calendar for all the special holiday events. Cups, we'll have a holiday gift-making night for adults on the 10th. Our holiday, Farrah, our holiday grief service is on the 17th. Yule service and child-centered craft night is on the 19th. Our unwrapped service will be on the 21st, and our Christmas Eve service with a potluck. We'll have our Christmas Eve service and then a potluck service on the 28th. Also, toys for the Greater Birmingham Ministry Drive are due today. If you'd like to contribute to our drive for hygiene items and gently used household goods for teens and young adults who have graduated from foster care, please bring those by the 21st. Please fill out your connection card and check any interests you may have. The staff read the connection cards every week. Please return those to the usher at the end of service. Also, Trey will be selling annual flowers outside after the service, and all of the proceeds for that will go to the church. And then lastly, Julie has left the box for staff gifts on the center of the table in the narthex for anyone who did not get a chance to donate. And then we have a special announcement from Sherry.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to again highlight that all school-age children are welcome and encouraged to join us for our holiday pageant next Sunday. We're actually rehearsing again after service downstairs, so if your little one is already down there, Courtney gave me the thumbs up to take a few of them who are interested to learning some of our songs. We'll rehearse again on Saturday right here in the sanctuary at 10 a.m. to put it all together, and then we'll warm up on Sunday morning. Then we're going to take a little break. Some of our kids have been joining me every Sunday as we're trying to get our children's choir back up and running. So in 2026, the goal is for our kids to sing during service at least once a month. So we're going to I'm excited about that too. So we're going to get ready for the pageant. We'll take the 21st and the 28th off on those Sunday mornings. But then right after the new year at 9 a.m., if your little one wants to sing, and we're going to have a great time. I don't know if you have been down to the children's choir room, but take a visit in there. There's a tremendous amount of super fun percussion instruments. I mean, from West African percussion to Orff instruments and xylophones and shakers, and I'm really hoping that we're going to have a great time in the new year. So please join us. Thank you.
In honor of the legacy of our ancestors, let us carry the flame forward as we extinguish the chalice with these closing words. As we extinguish this flame, we carry with us the light that awakens Scrooge's heart, a reminder that compassion can grow, generosity can deepen, and every day offers a chance to begin again. The flame goes out, but the hope it kindles in us shines on.